how much money can you spend with a $4 million portfolio? Well, it's pretty simple. Most people follow the 4% rule. So if you're taking 4% of a $4 million portfolio, assuming that you want to follow the 4% rule, which I believe in a different rule that I'm going to explain today. If we take 4% of a $4 million portfolio, you can see that's $160,000. Now, that is designed for a 30-year retirement. So if you retire at 65 and pass away at 95, the original 4% rule study done by Bill Bengen, that is designed once again to last for 30 years. So what if you want to retire early at 50 or in your 40s? That's not a study that you likely want to rely on. Some people talk about 2% withdrawal rates or 3% withdrawal rates. Some people talk about 5 or 6%. What on earth should you follow? That's what I'm going to go through in today's video so that you don't retire so early that you run out of money. But I also don't want you to retire so late that you actually end up being mad at me going, hey, I told you already my goal was not to have $15 million. Why didn't I retire earlier when I had my health? I often tell the story of a woman who came to me who said she was really upset that she had $3 million. I said, look, I don't hear that every day. Why are you upset that you have this? Because there'd be people lining up to have $3 million. And she said, you don't understand. I said, you're right. That's why I'm asking you. Please tell me. And she said, I didn't need $3 million to live my dream retirement. If I had around 2 to 2.2 million, I could have done everything I wanted more. And I was sitting at work for those 3-4 years unnecessarily thinking I needed to keep saving when I didn't. And now I have really bad sciatica. So I can't travel and hike to the degree that I want to. I went, okay, well, that's a powerful story. Now, some of you go, well, I really do want $4 million. That's what's going to allow me to spend what I want. Awesome. I like spending a lot of money. I like going to physical therapy for my soccer training. I like going to a certain gym that allows me to take workout classes. So I am on the bougier side myself. This is not me saying don't spend more money. This is me saying make sure that you are saving and investing the right amount. Now, I don't want to work unnecessarily. I want to work because I love what I get to do. And I want all of you to know if you're working because you want to or because you have to, and when is the earliest time that's really possible. That's what today's video is going to be all about. So check this out. This is a real case study that I'm going to go through right now. This is a couple. You can see here, 58 and 50 years old with a 19-year-old child. $4 million across their accounts. 3.6 is in a traditional 401k. 400,000 is in a Roth IRA. Which account is missing here, guys? Let me know in the comments. Those of you that watch a lot of my videos, what is my favorite account? I'm going to say it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Some of you are able to type really fast, but if you did not get it, it is a superhero account. This is also known as a brokerage account. So they are missing a really important account. It's called a taxable account. It's called a brokerage account. It's called a joint account. There's a lot of different names. It all means the same thing, but they don't have that account. They do own a home. $890,000 is the value. $300,000 is the current loan. $315,000 to be exact. Now, I'm going to go through this case study so that you can see exactly how much you can spend if you have $4 million plus dollars. Liquid, of course. Please, this is important. The reason I get to make these videos is because you guys watch these and you really engage with them, which I cannot be more appreciative of. I want to make sure I always get to keep doing these videos, and this is an important disclosure that needs to stay up on the screen so that you guys can read this at your own disclosure. Feel free to pause this. The biggest thing to take away, please, please be smart about this. Do not go execute anything I ever say unless you consult with a financial advisor, a tax preparer, a financial professional of some capacity. By no means is anything I'm actually saying a specific recommendation for you. Please be smart about this. Educational, informational guidance only. Now, with that being said, we're going to hop in. Now, this couple here, I need you to pretend for a second that I spoke to them at length about their goals and how much they want to spend. And is it 10,000 a month? Is it 15? What about a child that they said who they have is 19 years old? What about weddings for them? What about helping with the down payment? All of that I'm going to show you and more right now. Now, here's the simple logic, okay? Assuming you follow the right rules, there's something called the guardrails approach. This is what I execute for my clients. This says, and the reason I love this, you're going to hear right now, if you follow the right rules, which there are some rules that are really important to follow. They're very easy to follow, but they're important. You can take out between 5.2 and 5.6% of your portfolio, and be rest assured you will not run out of money for 40 years. That's right. That's a big deal. Why is that a big deal? If you retire at 50, you want to make sure your money lasts at least 40 years, especially if you're healthy. So the 4% rule, what's the issue with it? Why is it designed for a 30-year retirement? Why did Bill Bengen talk about that? Well, the reason that people like the 4% rule is it's simple. It's been around a long time. It's ingrained in their memory. When there's new ways of withdrawing income, people go, yeah, but is that tried and tested? Is there research behind it? And now there is. The withdrawal strategy called Guyton's guardrails approach has been heavily researched. It's the one we implement for our clients. And why is it different? Well, the 4% rule is based on the following logic: that you invest in US large caps, so the S&P 500, and intermediate term US bonds, just those two asset classes. So what if both those asset classes are not doing well and you need income in retirement? How are you going to create that? Well, you're going to have to go sell something at a loss so that you have income. It's not the best time to sell, but you're going to have to. What if instead of those two asset classes, you added way more? International, and you split that up between emerging markets and developed markets? What about passive real estate? What about a real estate investment trust? What about smaller companies? Not just the S&P 500. What about companies that focus on dividends or value? If you are building a portfolio that's way more diversified, there's going to be a time where S&P 500 is not doing well. Heavy tech stocks not doing well. Dividend companies, they're probably doing really well. So where are we going to pull from? We're going to pull from those types of accounts. The reason I'm saying this is if you're way more optimal and you have a diversified portfolio, you can take out more money and rest assured that you will not run out of money for a minimum of 40 plus years, according to the guardrail study. Now, along the way, I'll tell my clients, if you're in retirement, I need you to be a boxer, a retirement boxer. What does that mean? There are times markets do well. And what the study shows is when markets are doing well, we'll go to clients and say, we want you to spend more. You told us you didn't want to die with $20 million. So if you don't fly first class, I'm going to be pissed because you told me that was something you really wanted to do. Other times we'll say, I know you want to fly first class. I know you want to take 5 trips. Markets are down. We're not asking you to never take a trip. We're saying, would you be willing to take 3 trips this year instead of 5? Because we don't want to withdraw too much too early on in your retirement, which could jeopardize you later. So we are just looking out for our clients' best interests, which is how can we make sure they meet all their goals, never run out of money, and once again, spend enough that doesn't make them look back going, why didn't I do more? So take a look at this example. This here is the overall assets, okay? I'm now going to enter the retirement section. And the reason that I'm showing you guys this, you all, by the way, are going to have access to exactly what I'm showing if you want. I'm going to put this back because I was playing around with it just before you guys. This is a powerful tool, okay? I'm going to show you exactly how much you can spend in the next 2 minutes. But if you, for example, want to run your own numbers, here's a couple. They're 57, excuse me. They have $4 million. I'm just zooming in here for you. They're on track for $10 million by age 98. And that's with inflation assumptions occurring along the way. What if they're like, hey, we'd rather retire at 55? What would that do to our plan? Well, you guys can go in real time, run those projections, and see the impact it makes. That's a big deal. That's $600,000 fewer dollars. Are they still more than okay? Yes. So what I want you to do is, first of all, understand when work becomes optional. But to go deeper on the 4 million discussion, this couple, they told me they want to spend $6,000 a month. Now, the reality is they might want to spend $12,000 a month. Some of you, okay, hypothetically. Well, if you want to spend $12,000 a month, look, they're still on track. They're $7 million at the end here, okay? The reason I bring this up is first, I want you to dream big. What's the base number? This is where I want you to start. So $12,000 a month, that's the basics. That doesn't even include your mortgage. Now, this couple has a mortgage. So the software is saying they want to spend $12,000 a month separately from the mortgage. This is $12,000 a month on just legitimately day-to-day stuff. I'm talking gym. I'm talking going out to eat. I'm talking just not vacations, because vacations they want accounted for separately. So $12,000 a month, $144,000 a year, plus $10,000 a year on vacations. They want to spend about let's call it $154,000 a year. Could they do that on a $4 million portfolio? Absolutely. I mean, let's look at their withdrawal rate. Okay, well, their withdrawal rate, you can see here, it starts at about 5.8%. 9% when they are officially retired that first year. Then you can see as their portfolio grows, they're in the 5% range. That to me is extremely sustainable. Why? Because it actually starts to decrease. And in their 70s, it's in the 3% range. Why does that give me confidence? Why do you guys think? Well, the reason for that is because now they're probably spending less time on vacations. Maybe not. Maybe if they're in good health, they want to keep it. But most people spend less in their 70s and they have Social Security helping out, which means if they want to spend $160,000, they don't need $160,000 from their portfolio. They might only need $120,000 because $40,000 is coming from Social Security. Then what's happening here? Guys, why do you think this is jumping up? Do you think in their 80s, all of a sudden, they want to just be incredible vacationers where, I don't think vacationers is a word, but travelers? No, what's happening is they're forced to take out more than they need because the majority of their money is in a 401k, which gets hit with what are called required minimum distributions. So I want my clients anywhere in the range of 5 to 5.5%. Now, what is very telling is the direction this moves. So if this direction increased, meaning it's 5% and increasing, that would tell me they're not in a position to retire. For example, let's assume they go, we want to spend $20,000 a month. Well, if they were to do that, you can see here, that would give me concern. Because at the beginning, they're starting at 10%, which is way too high, and it's only increasing. Now, here's where it gets tricky. What if they said, we want $15,000 a month? Okay, so $180,000 a year plus $10,000 on vacations. Well, this is a tricky part. This is where it gets interesting because this is too high for my liking. I don't like 6-7%, but it's actually a decreasing graph because now they're spending less over time. It's still higher than I would like, but this is giving someone, okay, maybe I start to get a little bit more intricate here. So I like when people put the base case. Let's pretend their base case is $10,000, $120,000 a year. Well, we know they're in a good spot because their withdrawal rate is really low. Then it drops. You can tell someone's in a good spot, by the way, pro tip, when it makes a big jump here. You can see big jump because that's going to create required minimum distributions where they're going to be forced to pay a lot of taxes on this money. So we want to get more intricate. What about helping out a kid with a wedding? What about new cars every 5 years, 10 years? What about a home remodel? We want to get more specific. What about part-time income? Are you going to work at all? What about inheritance? Go get more intricate here because this is what's going to really give confidence. Check this out. Here's someone that might look at this and go, I can't retire. That's a 6.5% withdrawal rate, but it drops to 4%, 4.5% real quick. Why? This might be 1 year where they're doing a wedding and a car payment, but then all of a sudden they're back to a very sustainable withdrawal rate. So what's the biggest myth that I see? I see people see a high number like 6% and go, I'm not going to retire. That is not the way to do it. That does not mean you can't retire. What this means is if you had multiple years at this, then we should consider not retiring quite yet. But if you're traditionally at this sustainable 4 or 5% rate and you're doing all the right things, guys, here's a $4 million couple. I'd have no concerns if they want to spend $10,000 a month, another 10 on vacations, weddings, vacations, remodels. They are in a good position. I'd want them to factor in healthcare. Let's put another $10,000 a year the first until Medicare. Are they still in a good spot? Yeah, they are. I already know this because I know their plan. So yeah, they're closer to 5%. Now, here's a big important thing here. Am I just going to let them spend this no matter what every single year? No, because the beautiful thing about this software is if markets don't do well, this withdrawal rate, their portfolio worth 4 million, let's pretend it goes down 10%. That's a big deal. Now it's only worth 3.6. It's not going to say 4.9% here. It's going to say a way higher number because they're going to need to take out the same amount to live, but there's less of a portfolio to pull from. So this is the most important thing that I at least want you to consider when you're looking at portfolio planning, which is withdrawal rates. This was prompted today by someone who left this comment. I'm 54. I have 5.7 million in liquid assets, 4 million in real estate. I like 20 a month, willing to work until 60. Okay, well, everyone's different. You guys might go, I'm willing to work till 60 as well. How does that impact the plan? Well, it's going to help in a big way because that's 2 more years you're not withdrawing from the portfolio. Now you're at a 4% withdrawal rate, jumps to 5%. So go look at what your withdrawal rate's going to be. Go see what you're on track for your retirement. That's what these videos are designed to hopefully do. See okay, what's my potential tax burden? This is largely your biggest, if not one of your biggest expenses in retirement. Sometimes it makes sense to do heavy Roth conversion. Sometimes it can add a lot of value. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to. It depends on the tax brackets you're in. Where should I, fill up? What are the exact timing of this? If you want, I have one video that I would encourage you to listen to. It's called Stop Why You Shouldn't Do a Roth Conversion with my partner, James Knoll. The reason I would encourage you, you can see 90,000 of you resonated with this. I see a lot of people who are what are called conversion happy, which is where they have a 401k, a lot of pre-tax money. They want to move it to a Roth IRA. So they're going, great, I'm happy to pay some taxes now, so it's never taxed ever again, which can make a big difference, as you just saw on my screen a second ago. But sometimes it doesn't make sense to do this. For example, let's pretend you are someone who wants to spend a good amount of money. You're like, I'd love to spend $20,000 a month. Awesome. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see what you're on track for. Okay. Well, they would run out of money at 78. So we're going to switch this to $15,000 a month. In addition to all these other healthcare, vacations, weddings, new cars. Well, now they're on track for 3.8 million. And let's pretend they didn't want to invest well. They're like, we're hesitant. We just want a balanced portfolio. Super, super simple. Okay, well now they're going to run out of money at about 90. That's not ideal. And let's pretend they are willing to work till 62, just for argument's sake. They go, I'll take a moderate approach. Why am I doing that? Well, it's going to get pretty close to the end. There's going to be a 1.8 million at the end. Now, that's still a lot of money, but watch what's going to happen if I click this tax tab again. Do you guys remember how great those Roth conversions looked? Sometimes they're going to make no sense because there's no extra money that might be left over. So what we don't want you to do is go do Roth conversions when it wouldn't help your plan. So don't be what's called conversion happy. Now, if you're watching all of this going, wow, I want help with all of this. I want the tax, I want the estate, I want the insurance. There's a lot in here. You can go, if you want on your own, to go play around with the different tools and go, hey, what if I collect Social Security at 70 or full retirement age? And what's the difference? And it's going to spit out different numbers here. This is available inside my Early Retirement Academy. So you can get all of this and more inside, once again. In addition to that, if you want to work with Root, if you go to our website and you click See If You're a Fit, it's going to prompt you with the following. So I'm going to put in a few basic numbers here. I'm going to use my email address here. I'm going to click OK. How did you find us? We just want to know where that came from. We currently have a $2 million minimum today. Is that our dream? No. We want to help as many people as we can, but until we have more amazing team members that I feel confidently can service you in the way you deserve to be served, this is currently the business for today. So if you have over $2 million, we're going to ask you, do you understand our fee structure? Do you want to begin with an advisor? Are you looking for more just kind of one-time help? Or are you still getting a sense? Let's pretend you go, I'm ready, I'm excited about this. If you have $2 to $5 million, you are going to have an option. You can start what's called with the priority path. This is where immediately you watch this quick video of me and you can start assuming it's a good fit. You can actually select the advisor you want to work with. You can say, I'm not sure. It's going to prompt you to speak to the next available advisor at Root. Now, this is assuming you're ready to work with us. And you can see it can start really quickly, assuming you are ready and you are eager to begin. Next day appointments. However, many of you go, hey, I'm still just getting a hang of this. I don't know exactly. That's my personal email, so I'm going to switch that there. Guys, don't send me tons of personal emails, okay? Or send my work email, please, if there's anything. If you have over 2 million again, you can say, I'm still getting a sense of what I need. I want to learn more about Root. Well, you can select that option. Assuming you have 2 to 5 million, it's going to say, hey, you're welcome to still have a call, learn more first. And if you want to schedule an explore meeting, this will be with Jay, who takes the first call here just to see if it's a good fit. Now, it might be a little bit of a longer wait. It could be a week, it could be 2 weeks. Sometimes it's a few months. So what I encourage people to do, if you're interested in working with Root, is go to the resources tab and click FAQ here. This is going to allow you to read through how we work with people. Everything is in here that you could possibly need. I put this together. All these videos are me recording. How does it work when you work with Root? What's the process? Who do we work with? Do you have enough money to become a client? Where will your money be? For example, Charles Schwab is the custodian we use. How does transferring money actually work? Do I have to hand over everything? Do we commit long term? What are the fees? How do we justify the fees? All of this is in here and more. Guys, I believe in being really transparent. And I'm the weird advisor that says everyone doesn't need one. It depends. If you're currently 50 years old, all your money's in a 401k, you want to retire in 10 years, you might not need Root quite yet. In fact, you probably don't. And you should probably use the academy, educate yourself, make sure that by the time you retire, you're in a good position. That's when it can make sense to work with Root. Generally, when someone's anywhere from 0 to 5 years out from retirement, people start working with us because they want to make sure that they're preparing appropriately before they officially retire. So that's it for today's video. Hopefully this was helpful. Guys, if you have more questions or comments or want me to make something specific in a future video, just drop a comment below. I read those comments. These are really fun for me. I love what I get to do here. Thank you guys for letting me make these videos for you. And I truly mean that because you're watching them, which lets me keep making them. So seriously, thank you guys. See you next time.